Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
What is up? What is up? What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your man Jelani JB Bodie. Once again, I'm back in the building, here to give you your sports fix, like I always do. I'm excited today, ladies and gentlemen. Today's a little bit different. It's a little bit different, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. But before I do that, you know the routine, man. Like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, share, do all that good stuff out there with the show. We appreciate it. Put comments. We appreciate that as well. And you know who runs the background right here with me, man. Big Mo is in the building. Running. Mo, how you doing today?
What's up, JB?
Feeling good?
I'm feeling you know what? I ain't even gonna lie to you. I'm exhausted, bro. But we're gonna do it. We're gonna get through it, man.
Hey,
we're gonna
you need to
through
get
it.
one of them Red Bulls or whatever, get your wings and all that stuff. Second win.
I got something right here.
There you go. There you go. All right. Well, I told you we got a special show today, and I got a special guest that I want to introduce you to. So NBA, right? NBA season is upon us, and we're getting ready for the push to the playoffs and all that good stuff. But before we do all that, I want to talk about the NBA. Getting to the NBA, it's tough. It's hard. It's not easy, right? So I went out there, got a guest, and I told you I was going to get you a guest. So I want to do the proper thing. I want to introduce this person. So you know how I like to go to my notes, right? So I'm going to go to my notes. First off, this person or this man at his senior year in high school broke the all-time scoring mark in Flint, Michigan, beating Glenn Rice or breaking Glenn Rice's record. He was a parade All-American in high school in 1997, along with such guys as Baron Davis, Shane Battier, Elton Brand, Corey Maggette, all of those, on and on and on. 4 Big Ten championships, 3 Final Four appearances, and he's a Michigan State Spartan, which he won the championship in 2000. Won an Italian League championship in 2002 with Benetton Treviso. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. And enjoyed a 7-year NBA career with Phoenix, Dallas, Milwaukee, and Golden State, and was inducted into the Greater Flint Sports Hall of Fame in 2016. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend. Charlie Bell is in the building here, NBA vet.
What's what's going on, man? Golly, man. That was a good intro right there, brother. I appreciate that.
I got
Got
to.
the
I got to.
you got
Hey,
the you got you got the, you got the intro and everything, man. You moving up in the world, man. Golly,
facts.
brother.
I had to bring the facts, right?
Man, I mean, hey, yeah, you did your thing, man. I almost felt like on Club Shay Shay when he do the intros and everything, man. I almost felt good, man. Appreciate that, brother.
Yes, sir. I got you. I got you. Flint Town is in the building, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah,
What's going
absolutely.
on? What's going on, JB?
I'm I'm good, man. I've been good. So I want to jump into this, and I was telling everybody, I've been talking about the NBA, right? And I love, asking questions and kind of peeling that layer back a little bit about the NBA and getting there, the journey, right? It's everybody's got a different story. Everybody got a different route, as far as like how they get there. So it's not just one thing. So I said I got to get Charlie Bell
Hmm.
on here and talk about it. So I want to talk about your journey, and I want to talk about how you got there and the things that you experienced, on your way there. So the first thing I want to start off with, I read somewhere. Tell me if this is true or not. Right? Is that there's these legendary battles back in Flint in the neighborhood where it was block against block, not just like I got my friends and everything. So your block against another block in the
Yeah,
neighborhood, and it
yeah.
was got real intense. Tell me about that.
I mean, I think everybody who grew up in Flint know that, in the city of Flint, basketball reigns supreme. And growing up, that's how it was. We had, my block, Brownell, and around the corner was Winona. So we used to go over there, the cats had their little hoop on the house. We had the hoop in my backyard. So just we just take our crew, go over there and play, and then sometimes they bring their crew over to my place, and yeah, it was you battle is just like you when you like now you as an adult and as you playing for yourself, but at the same time you're playing for the name on the front of the jersey as well as the name on the back. But back then, wasn't no jersey; it was just you
Right.
playing for that street sign. You know what I'm saying? Whatever that name of that street sign, whatever that's what you represent. you got to go over there and represent.
So I'm not gonna ask you what your record was, but I'm gonna say, did Brunell
We won quite a
represent
bit.
quite well?
Yeah, we won quite a bit. We won quite a
Okay,
bit. We had a nice, yeah, we had a nice little squad.
okay. I see where I was at. We had drug dealers and all that stuff. Couldn't depend on them, So we probably would have went over there and
No,
lost,
no. They was around too. But they was at the park and right there on a little further up. They was at the park, but they didn't bother us. And it was like I
Yeah.
was, you hear interviews now, about like, cats don't have no code or whatever. But back then, it was
Yeah.
like, yeah, everybody knew, who the basketball players was. Guys knew I played basketball. Nobody bothered me. And I mean, it's kind of crazy because the story's true. Like one time I was at the park and cat came up to me like, Charlie, I mean, I know you play ball, man, so we don't want you, getting involved in none of this, man. So you stay away from this. And that's how it was. Nowadays these kids don't have that. Everybody,
Yeah.
is trying to do both. And but back then, nobody bothered me because they knew I was, the star athlete of the neighborhood.
There you go. And see what I was mean. I'm talking about the drug dealers would have been on my team, and I wouldn't have been able to depend on them because
Nah, I'm sure it might have been a couple of them too, but when it was basketball time, it was basketball time, and you do that on
yeah.
your own.
So you mentioned going up against obviously other streets or other other neighborhoods and everything, but you also being the guy getting into high school. I won't just jump right into there. Is that there were some guys that we know of and people know of that you went up against, because in Flint there was 4 schools, right? When we were in school. So you got the opportunity of going up against guys like Mateen Cleese and Morris Peterson, and others. There's others that was in Flint. So kind of what was that like, being the one guy, at Southwestern Academy is the school that we both went to. But what was that like, going up against those guys day in, day out, through the seasons?
It was tough, I think, like I talked about, Flint was just one of them cities where, basketball was the thing, and everybody looked forward to those city games.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Northern playing Northwestern, Southwestern playing Central, Central playing Northwestern. I mean, it was just whenever one of them teams was playing each other, you can probably, guarantee that it's gonna be a sellout. And the cats are gonna be sitting courtside talking trash. And it was just one of them things, man. I wish I could go back in the day and wish I can, so people can experience that and see how it used to be. I mean, it
Yes.
was just, you couldn't wait for them. You couldn't wait for them games, man. It was, playing against Mateen, playing against Moped, playing against Max Scott over at Central. I mean, like all these guys I played against. You had to bring it every game. It
Yeah.
was just it was bragging rights. It was one of them things where every city school thought their city school was the best. So and then it was like one of them things, like in college or NBA or anywhere, you know, where a team can be unranked and a team can be, hasn't won a game in weeks, another team can be hot. You never know what's going to happen in that game. No matter what the records are, you throw the records away because pride is taking effect, and you got to come out there and play. It just no matter if that you think that team is good or not, or if a team is struggling, you was coming to battle for that game.
And I remember those games I remember, for folks that don't know, it wasn't like you could buy a ticket to some of those games. I remember you had to put your name in a raffle, and that's how they decided
Yeah,
who could
no,
go
it
to
was
the game.
it was tough. It was tough. I mean, even as players, we only got a certain lot, like 3 or 4 tickets for our families. And then, they moved the games to early. Remember, we had a little, the game was still light outside because of, they don't want any issues happening after or during the game. So they moved the
Right.
games during the day, and it was still packed in there. I remember we had to, our gym was probably the smallest of all the city schools. We had to bring in extra stands, to put under the
Yeah.
basket because those games were sold out so crazy.
Yeah. I remember all that. That was banana. But like you said, you had to be there and experience it, because if you didn't experience it, you won't
Oh no,
understand.
it was the place to be. It was the place to be. You
Yeah,
know, for, especially for for high school kids or even the grown-ups. I mean, I don't even think people were trying to go to the club. It was like you got to take it to the game. You know, that was like you're gonna put your flyest clothes on. You're gonna come to the game. You want to be because you got to be seen. It was like it was the place
yeah,
to be. It was like you got to throw your Frank Lucas on or something. It was like
yeah.
like it was like a heavyweight fight. You got to come dressed to impress for those games.
Folks wouldn't even go to work, man. I remember people wouldn't even, they work at the shop, and they would be like, "Nah, I'm putting in time off, or I'm taking an extended
No,
lunch, extended lunch."
nah. No, it was real. It was real, man, and it was
Yeah,
a time was had. I tell you that.
yeah. So I talked about you breaking Glenn Rice record. I just want to talk about that because everybody know Glenn Rice could, he gets buckets, right? And for
Hmm.
you to do that, I know that that had to be a big thing. So like, what did that mean to you? Or what was that feeling like, going into that game that you knew you was close and you just like, I'm gonna attain this. I'm gonna break this record.
For me, basketball is just about having fun, and especially at that age, it wasn't a job then. It was just, you go out there, you just play and have fun. And for me, it was big. I knew who Glenn Rice was. I know who he is, and I know with the career that he had. Outside of high school, I never thought that I would have, a career like his. But I had a decent career. But I mean, Glenn is somebody that I think we all, grew up idolizing, wanting to be like. He went on to Michigan, went on to play in the NBA. As a young basketball player, everybody wants to make it to the NBA, and he did. And to break his record was huge. I still don't know if I was as good as he was, but I was able to, get lucky and score a couple more baskets than a lot of people in Flint. And it's just crazy that the record is still out there. And
Yes.
I'm just very fortunate, and I had a lot of great teammates and a great coach in Reggie Manville who gave me the confidence and the freedom to go out there and be who I was, even as a freshman, all the way up into my senior year. He really just kind of, they gave me the reins, and all my teammates were great. And because especially as a freshman or a sophomore, then you got seniors, guys like, nah, man, it's my team, But at the same
Right.
time, I think they recognized that I was a pretty good player, and they allowed me, they threw me the ball and allowed me to do what I do.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember Kevin Wallace, Luke Lloyd, a few other guys, on that team, Jay Stahl, just to name
Hmm.
a few. So going into you, obviously, your senior year, you break that record. Um, it's recruitment time. It's been recruitment time, and we already know Mo Pete. He was already at Michigan State. My team went to Michigan State. So for you, was it as simple as I'm going to Michigan State, or were there some other, other schools that you were considering? So like, what was that recruitment process? Because this is still early into Tom Izzo's career. So he wasn't obviously what he is now, but this was really early into
Hmm.
his career. So what was that recruitment process like? And what were, if there were, what were some of the other schools that you were considering?
No, I mean, I was pretty open, I think, for me, I definitely wanted to, weigh my options, go out there and see, you know, um, what other schools, what they had to offer. And I took, all five of my visits as a high school player. You can take up to five official visits. So I
Okay.
went to Minnesota, Penn State, Michigan, and University of Connecticut. I went to UConn. Um, I had a great
Yeah.
relationship with all those coaches. Each one of those visits, I went like 5 weeks in a row. I went to, each one of those schools every weekend, which kind of probably hurt because I wanted to try to win, the city meet in cross country my senior year, but I was taking visits every weekend and eating five-star meals, steaks and lobsters and everything, because they wine and dine you. So I ended up coming in
Mhm.
second and in the cross country meet because I wasn't in the type of shape that I wanted to be in, but at the same time, coming in second was pretty good, but I still wanted to win, the city in cross country. Took a lot of pride in cross country too. Um,
Yes.
But yeah, I took, I went to all five of those, schools, and each visit was great. The coaches in Minnesota were great. The coaches at Penn State were great. UConn and Steve Fisher at Michigan. And but when it came down to it, I'm kind of glad I took the visits because when you take a visit, you kind of get a sense of how your teammates are going to be, hanging out with the teammates, seeing what kind of chemistry that you have off the court. And all those places were great, but when I went to Michigan State, it was just one of those, you just kind of felt it, as far as the visit, not just playing with the guys or just knowing how they are on the basketball court, as hanging with them off the court, and just getting a chance to see the life that they live, as far as the dorms, hanging out with teammates, hanging out with their friends. And it was just a great visit. And I really just I kind of clicked with those guys, in a family type, friendly type of way. And it was hard to say no to Michigan State after that.
And you know what? That's crazy because like, well, not crazy, but it's just interesting because yeah, you went up against these guys every year, having all these battles, and then you're playing with them, right? And this
Hmm.
team is coming together, which I'm glad you mentioned that because that leads me into my next thing about getting to Michigan State and you guys start moving up, and getting the exposure and getting the eye of national TV. So one thing, what I've always wanted to ask you this, I've never asked you this. How did it feel to be called a diaper dandy by Dick Vitale? Because back then that was the thing. And I'm getting old, so I'm gonna go back and say cross country matters because I remember we won the city championship, in '96. So yeah, we were champs. So people get on me, but
Hmm.
yeah, we were champs, cross country masters. But yeah, how was it about Dick Vitale calling you a diaper dandy, and then what was the I guess the if you can say good and bad or challenging pros and cons to once when you were at that point where it's just like, okay, Michigan State is the real deal. We're expecting them to win the championship, or they're up there to win the championship. Because again, you got 3 Final Four appearances, so that's not that's a big thing.
Hmm. No, I think, Dick Vitale is, he's royalty in college basketball, as far as announcing and being at the games. And I mean, when you think of college basketball, you think of Dick Vitale. And for him, just mentioning my name and just knowing that, he's probably commentated, thousands of games, and he's probably, seen, thousands of players. And for him to recognize me as, being one of those type of players, somebody that he can call out and, it really just gave me confidence, and it just kind of just boosted, you know, um, you know, my, I ain't gonna say my ego, but just my confidence and just the way I felt about myself because, he doesn't give those nicknames away very lightly. I mean he's seen a lot and he's commentated a lot, so that was great. And the pros and cons, I mean, just when you're in that position, some of the cons is just everybody expects you to win, so it's like it's a lot of pressure to go out there and win games, and win the championships and win championships. And but at the same time, with the victor come the spoils, and then but sometimes, too, when you're winning, you get a lot of, free stuff, from restaurants. You go places and
Yeah.
they take care of you, and you go to class. Sometimes you might have you got some teachers that don't care about that stuff, but then you got some teachers that's hey, Charlie, we know y'all just had that big game you won last night. I'm gonna give you extra day to do that paper. Or they would look out for you in those type of ways. And one time I walked in class, one of those big lecture halls, with hundreds of people. And we had just won a big game, and I walked in and got a standing ovation from the whole class. I was like, wow, this is crazy. Yeah, you best believe I'm not taking no notes today. You know what I'm saying? So it's so it was a great experience, man. I mean, just being a college athlete, man. I mean, it's a lot of good things and bad things, but at the same time, it builds character, and it made us who we are today.
Yeah. And I'm sure you picked up quite a few friends. few thousands of friends on
Oh
campus.
yeah, yeah, oh, for sure. Still got friends, man, to this day, man. I mean, it's like I said, winning the championship is probably one of the best things ever, man. And yeah, it definitely, walking around campus at that time, it was like we were like the rock stars, we were the Beatles walking around. So it was definitely a great feeling, man. And like I said, I wouldn't change it for anything.
Yeah. So you win this championship. You go on because Mo and Pete, they went on to the NBA. So you got to be, I guess, the guy, if you will, being the last installment of the Flintstones. Uh, you won that championship. You're getting ready to move on, from there. I want to read something from Tom Izzo that he said about you. So, and this is about you being at Michigan State, and just get your thoughts, about what this means. And this was actually from your Hall of Fame induction. Uh, in Flint. So he said, Charlie was the fourth and final member of the Flintstones early in my career. In many ways, he was the final piece of a championship puzzle. He entered Michigan State with the reputation of an elite scorer, but would leave 4 years later as one of the greatest all around players in Spartan basketball history, especially excelling at rebounding and defensive player. A player has made an impact when you hold current players to the standard he set 10, 15 years earlier. Anytime I talk about great rebounding guards, Charlie Bell is always the benchmark. Anytime we work on defensive drills and practice, I use the phrase Charlie Bell step. He was always the absolute best at getting over screens. What does that mean to you?
I mean, it was great. I mean, uh, for me, I just wanted to win. That was my thing. Even in high school, I had to score in order for the team to, I didn't say I need to score, but I had to, I was dependent on the score, in order for the team to win. And you go to college and pretty much everybody's their top scorer wherever they came from. So, for me, it was like, okay, what can I do to help the team win? That's, let me be a great defender. Let me try to help rebound. Let me try to run the lane, run the court fast as I can, so that may open up, some scoring opportunities for, some of my teammates. And, let me do this, let me do that. So um, that was my big thing. Is just I just wanted to win, and whatever I had to do to help the team win. And and it worked, 4 Big Ten championships, and won a lot of games in Michigan State. But I don't know if I, still is, but probably one of Michigan State's all time, winningest players is because, you know, yeah, I wanted to sacrifice. I mean, yeah, I was Flint's all time lead scorer, but I wanted to win. And
Right.
what do I got to do to help the team win? I probably could have been a little bit more selfish, when you think about things, but at the same time, I wouldn't trade any of those wins in, as a team, for any individual accolades. Like I said, I just wanted to win, and whatever came, you know, whatever accolades came with winning, I would take them. But at the same time, that was me. I just wanted to win. I just wanted to win games.
And you know what? At the time when you left, yeah, you had the most. I think someone may have gotten that mark, but yeah, in Big Ten, you had the most Big Ten wins, and that's like more than a lot of great players that came through the Big Ten. So that's a great accomplishment. I'm happy you mentioned about the sacrifice, right? Was that ever a tough thing for you? Because, like you said, you go from scoring all these points where some of it was just as needed, but you go from scoring all these points. You were up there, uh, creme de la creme, in Michigan, and now they ask you to do a different role. Was there ever a struggle with that, or was it just something like, all right, that's what y'all need, I'll do it?
No, I mean that's what they needed. That's what there was never no struggle, But I think because most time when people struggle when they have their own selfish motives, and I never really had a selfish motive like I need to score this many points because I want to get drafted, I want to play in the NBA, I want to do this, I want to do that. For me, I just wanted to win. I never was like I want to play in the NBA one day. I mean, making it to the NBA was great, but for me, it's just I'm playing basketball. I enjoy playing basketball, and I want to win. And whatever came with that, that's what I was willing to do. But at the same time, like I said, there was never no selfish motives, in my body. It's just I want to go out there, I want to win, and maybe at a fault, I maybe was too coachable. I wanted to try to do everything that the coach wanted me to do, and I was upset. I'm probably more upset with myself more than the coach was upset with me when I let a guy score on me or I let the team down, because I wanted to win just that bad.
Yeah. And you also said something about the NBA. Like and I kind of think I remember Eric Snow, another Michigan State guard that came out of there saying like, that wasn't his thought process. It would be great to go to the NBA. And you just said, this kind of the same thing is that, yeah, it'd be great, but if it happens, happens. If it's not, after just looking at, your accomplishments and everything you had over those 4 years at Michigan State, though, kind of what was that finishing up school, and were you expecting to get drafted, or did you kind of have some things that you thought about as far as like, yeah, I could, or possibly, or like what was that process, or what were you thinking after that?
Um, I mean, for me, I just, finishing school. I think no, never really thinking about me. Thought about the NBA. I probably started to think about it, come my senior year. After seeing Mateen and Mo P get drafted, and seeing guys that you grew up with and you played with, seeing them, make it to that next level. Now you start to think, oh, okay, maybe that playing the NBA is in my future too. But at the same time, I was still trying to finish up school, and I want to, like I said, I ended up graduating college in 3.5 years. Taking summer school every summer. So I was able to finish up and get my degree. And I knew I wanted to play basketball. If it was an NBA, it was an NBA. If it was overseas, it was overseas. But for me, just wanted to finish up school, finish up, try to get it, another championship. We came up short my senior year, but at the same time, I just wanted to go out there and finish up strong, and you know, just the college experience, knowing that that was coming to an end, and knowing that, real life is around the corner. You just tried to, enjoy it while you could, because, once life hit, it's a little different. You got to pay them bills. But at the same time, I didn't know if I'd get drafted or not. And, I wanted to get drafted. I didn't. But at the same time, definitely, felt like, I enjoyed my college experience.
So I'm gonna be selfish here for a second, Charlie. I got a question, that I've always wondered with this process, because if you're going to the NBA, you don't have it, or if you're going to attempt to go to an NBA, you need an agent, unless you're going to represent yourself. So, how does one find an agent, or is that kind of just, is it something that they say, hey, here's a list of agents, or do people, speak to you? Like, how does that come about where you pick your
I
agent?
mean, no, it goes, couple ways. I think if you're good enough, they're gonna come to you.
Okay.
You ain't got to worry about calling agents. Hey, that's what agents do. They identify talent just like anybody else, and they try to attach themselves to whoever they can, because they see as a they see the dollar signs too, and they want to try to get on top of that when they can. But also too, it's about you getting with the with Coach Izzo, because he's coached a lot of players, and he's dealt with a lot of agents, and he has agents that he trusts, agents that he doesn't trust, and they schedule, then you start scheduling meetings, or and then you go, you sit down with your parents and the coach and the agent, and you listen to what they got to say, and then you meet with another one, and then you kind of just like picking a school, you find who you got the right fit with, and who you think is going to um, do the work that you need them to do, and then you kind of choose your agent. But if you're good enough, like I said, they're gonna find you,
They're
and
gonna find you. Yeah.
but the thing is, you still want to go, talk to coach, you want to talk to your parents, you still want to, vet them out and make sure, because there's a lot of, slimy, bad agents out there.
Yeah, grimy, real grimy. So I know obviously you didn't get drafted, but you did spend some, a few games with Phoenix and Dallas. You go from there to overseas, because you talked about going overseas. Now it's changing up again because you go and let me make sure I say the team right. Did I say that right? Benito Trevisos. I might have said that wrong. For that team.
Benetton, Treviso.
Exactly.
You was
See,
close. You was close. Yeah, you was close.
so you go overseas though, and now you go back to scoring. Now, and I know you always play defense and everything, but what they're asking of you, they want you to be a scorer more often. So you had in two leagues that you was in the Italian league and the Spanish league. So you're a top scorer, 25 points one year in the Italian league and 27 points in the Spanish league. So like, what was that transition like to go back to saying, you know what, we need buckets, we need points? Was it just like yes, or was it like, all right, I gotta kind of get my mind right again?
No, I mean that's who I was. I mean, so the thing is um no, like I said, I'm a basketball player, man. You go overseas and it's like, yeah, when you go over there, yeah, they got guys that can rebound, they got guys, that can do this and assist but no, when you're American and you that that guy. They're looking at you to score, get buckets, to score points. I mean, yeah, I remember having a meeting before the game, and the coach, they say, "Hey, Charlie needs 20, 25, shots a game." It's like you look around, like, "Yeah, y'all hear that?" But it's like, but the same thing is, like, but I had great teammates, guys that gave me the ball, and
Yeah.
yeah, I think the thing about it too is like a lot of times, teammates when they trust you, I think they trusted me, but they knew, uh, I just wasn't out there just jacking shots and jack shots. You got some guys that probably go out and shoot the ball 30 times. I was still pretty efficient, but I was pretty good at what I did. So I think that made it, my teammates trust me a little bit more to throw me the ball, the way they did because a lot of times, you got teammates. I play with guys that can score. I know if I throw them the ball and they keep jacking shots and missing, I'm not going to throw them the ball too much anymore. I'm not going to want to be a great teammate to them. I'm not going to want to play defense.
Right.
I'm not going to want to do this and do that. But I think, I had great teammates. And like I said, I think they trusted me to go out there and do the things that I did and still play hard on both ends of the floor. I just wasn't out there just jacking shots. I was still, defending. I was still rebounding. And like I said, my teammates trusted me, and they like I said, they gave allowed me the ability to go out there and do what I did as far as scoring the ball.
So with this scoring, a championship again transpired, right? In this championship professional league, is there anything that kind of was different from the college and winning the championship, overseas playing pro ball versus college, or does it kind of all just feel the same? Because I know overseas is, the
No, it's
crowd can be intense.
No, no, that's what I was going to get at, man. I mean, the crowds are a little different over there. It's definitely intense. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people seeing, soccer games, and seeing the crowds and like the chanting that they do. They got the scarves on. Everybody got the team colors. It was a great experience playing over there. I mean, playing in the Euro League Final Four. And in the crowd, they got, like the metal trash cans that you see growing up in the hood, the metal trash cans at the park. They
Yeah.
got those inside the gym and they lit on fire. So it's like the whole
Wow.
arena is smoky. It's like it's crazy in there. Everybody's chanting, they beating drums. Um, you got like protective glass over your bench because sometimes fans get to throwing stuff. So it's one of them things where it can get a little rowdy. But at the same time, those fans are very passionate, and you got to go out there and and win. I've had some crazy experience. I was able to win when I've been in Benetton Treviso. We had some great teammates like Tyus Etney who played at UCLA.
Yeah.
Uh,
Remember him.
and played had some guys who played in the NBA, and we ended up beating Manu Ginobili, who was over there before he came to the NBA, and got a chance to play against him and some other great players. But at the same time, the experience over there was crazy good. But then I was on some teams where I was injured and our team was pretty bad. And after the last game, I remember after the last game, the fans. basically, rushing the court and taking the jerseys off of players because they didn't feel like the team those players uh played well enough to represent that team. So I mean, the fans came and took the jerseys away from the players. Like, hey, give me that jersey, saying like, hey, the jersey check, So it's like, yeah, I mean, like the fans is crazy. Then you get in your car and fans were throwing eggs at the players as they drove away. I ain't like that. They didn't do
Oh
that to me
man.
because I said I was injured and I was probably one of the better players. But some of the other players who weren't playing well and they paid a lot of money to, those fans over there, they're gonna let you know, hey, take the jersey off and then we're gonna egg you as you get up out of here. So
Oh
we're gonna
man.
let you know how we we're gonna let you know how we feel.
No Pooh Shiesty mask at all. Just like, yeah, I'm the person that did
No,
it to you.
no.
Oh
Hey,
my
no,
God.
no, yeah, yeah. Like I said, it's different over there. It's different. Like I said, some of this, I don't think a lot of players, especially this day and age, yeah, some of that. I don't know if some of that, will take place. Some of these guys, but or they allow it. But back then, that's how they were. And I think
Yeah.
as European, that's why they got so much pride in their countries and so much pride in their teams. And that's because that's just the way they're taught. That's just the way they are, and it was definitely an experience.
Yeah, I bet. Definitely. So you do well, really well, in overseas, and it gets to now. This is the part where we talk about the NBA. Charlie, how did you end up in Milwaukee?
How'd I end up in Milwaukee? I mean, hey, NBA is NBA, no matter what the city, man. It's just but Milwaukee was just one of those teams. The way it worked out is like my last year over in in Europe. I ended up changing agents, and like I said, agents matter. So I ended up changing agents. I went with a bigger agent, and like I said, I was still playing well. But like I said, my agent, what he did was during Chicago. My agent was based in Chicago. He ended up putting his own mini camp at the same time as the pre-draft activities or festivities or activities that was going on. So that way, every scout, every general manager, every NBA personnel that's going to be in Chicago at this time, and he had all his players. That he represented that are overseas and stuff like that. He had his all, so he did like his own mini camp,
Okay.
fun and had all the NBA teams come. And I was already playing well overseas. I did well in this combine that my agent had, and I ended up getting a couple workouts with a couple of different teams, like individual workouts. So I ended up going to Milwaukee, Portland, and New York. And I went on all three of those workouts. Everything was going well. And then Milwaukee was just the team that, after the first day of, there was like 2 days of workouts, but after the first day, they came to me and some of the scouts and stuff in front office. Hey, Charlie, hey, we've been watching you, since you left Michigan State. We watch how you've been playing overseas. And one thing we notice is we like about your game is that every year you've continued to get better and better and better, and we want to offer you a contract, and that's kind of how it worked out. Especially nowadays, I mean, being a scout myself, here in the NBA now, it's like you know, you got the ability to watch a lot of basketball in a lot of different places. Now a lot of teams got overseas scouts. No matter, I always tell my son, and my dad used to always tell me, is if you're good enough, they'll find you. And I was playing overseas, and like I said, they got film. They was continuing to scout me. They kept they tabs on me over the years, and the thing about me, and the thing that I took from Michigan State, and Coach Izzo is not resting on what I already did. What can I do to get better? So every summer it was, how can I get better? How can I get better? And it paid off in the long run because Milwaukee noticed that and they offered me a contract, and that's how I ended up there.
Nice. So you spent 7 years in the NBA. There's a lot of guys that you had I guess the pleasure of playing against. I guess that would be fair to say. I've seen you play against LeBron. I've seen you Kobe. I've seen KD. All of them. Is there one guy that you said, you know what, I got to get some sleep, or is there one guy
Oh man, I
that
mean that's everybody know that's Kobe, man. I mean, like
Kobe?
that's rest in peace, man. I mean, he was that guy, man. And I think, like I said, the fact of the matter is that you knew that he was bringing his best. He was trying to score 30, 40, 50 points. He was one of them guys where you got to come ready to play because he was gonna come ready. He was the ultimate competitor. So you got to be ready to compete with him because he's going to bring it 110% every game. Whereas other players, no knock on LeBron, but at the time, LeBron can come out there and be looking to assist the ball sometimes. You're not really looking to score. And then sometimes if he gets hot, he can get it going. But Kobe was that guy that every game, he was trying to get it going scoring wise. So you got to be ready. And he was going to compete on the defensive end and the offensive end. And he was just that guy like, that I needed a full night's rest, but the day before you gonna play against, ain't no hanging out. I got
Yeah.
Kobe tomorrow. I gotta go to bed early, man. I gotta get ready. I gotta make sure I get a good breakfast in the morning. It was just one of them guys.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Lisa, well, nobody never set you up or anything like that. I remember KG set up Isaiah Ryder against Jordan talking trash. Anybody maybe set Kobe off while you had to guard him and you're like, hey man, don't do that. Don't do that.
Not really. I think one time I had a teammate who, he wanted to start on Kobe, and I'm like, "You sure you want to start?" He's like, "Yeah, I got him." I said, "All right." And then every time, Kobe caught the ball, it's like he was yelling for help, and it's like Kobe ain't even did nothing yet. You yelling for help, man? And like Kobe got it going early, and then he probably ran off about 10 straight, and then after the time we had a timeout, he gonna come up, hey man, let's switch. I said, man, switch. I said, he got it going now. You want me to try to
Yeah.
slow him
I don't
down? I
want that.
said, but yeah, I don't want them problems, but that was my job. My thing was. I took pride in going out there trying to, slow down the other team's, top offensive threat. And, he had it going, but at the same time, that's something that, I took pride in and I took the challenge. And, most of the times he got the best of me, but, there was some times I could say, hey, I think, one game, I don't think Kobe scored in double digits. I was, guarding him, quite a bit in that game. It was a game against even LeBron. I think, like that, one of his last time scoring in single digits. I was one of the guys that was guarding them. So, I take a lot of pride in that stuff.
That's a win. We'll take that. Well, I'll take that. You'll take that. Um,
Exactly.
Charlie, I think you know what I think I like to think that I'm a realistic person and I'm not one of these delusional fans that's out there because people downplay a lot like what Russell Westbrook does, and I think at some point like Oscar Robertson, you got a triple double, bro. How hard is it to get a triple double?
I mean, it's extremely hard. I mean, I think it's a little easier now because of the game is played, so much faster. So many
Hmm.
more shots are taken. So I mean, there's a lot more opportunities for points, rebounds, and assists because the game is, there's a lot more possessions now. So it's a little easier, but at the same time, it's still hard. It's like just the other day, the Suns played against the Pelicans, and Zion Williamson got his first triple double, and I'm
Yeah,
like. Ain't no way that guy, that's his first one. I mean, he's been in the league. I mean, I know he's been hurt a lot, but he's so talented as far as, rebounding, scoring the ball, and he sees a lot of double teams. You would think that, he would probably have, multiple triple doubles, but for him to have his first, and there's a lot of great players that played in the NBA, a lot of all-stars that don't get a triple double. And it's just one of them things. Just the ball has to be bouncing in the right direct in your way, your direction, in many ways. So, like I said, it was a great accomplishment, and I'm very fortunate I was able to get one. At that level.
and I have to say, like when I because I remember seeing it and I was watching it and I'm like, yeah, my guy did that. Like, yeah. You know, yeah, my guy did that, and like you said, a lot of people can't say that they did that. So, some obviously a lot of good goes on in Milwaukee. I want to ask a little bit about the business side. Because we know there's a business side. And you tell me if there's any truth to this, right? I do remember there was a time where you were a restricted free agent, and I think Miami, the Heat, offered you a deal that Milwaukee end up matching, if I'm correct. So at that point, were you thinking you were going to be a Heat, or were you kind of thinking like, it's a chance I still could come back to Milwaukee?
I thought I was gonna be a Heat, man. I think I wasn't, upset about going back to Milwaukee, but because that's where I spent the last couple of years at, and they were really good to me. But that's when you really find out the NBA is a business. It's like, I think for 2 years, I think, we had a lot of guys that got, injured. And I was able to go out there for the most part, stay healthy. I think the first year ended up getting hurt, but the second year, like I said, I ended up, playing almost everything. I played every game that season. There were some times where I probably couldn't have played or shouldn't have played, but I took a
Mhm.
lot of pride in going out there and representing, the team and wanting to go out there and play and give my best and give my all for the team. And then come free agency, you think that the team is gonna, kind of do right by you as a player, but at the same time, they're gonna do what's right by them as a team, as a business. And me being restricted, it was like, they're not going to offer me a contract that nobody else is going to offer. They're not going to, basically outbid themselves. And but at the same time, I thought that I, played well enough where, I would at least get an offer like, hey, this is what we want to offer you, and then maybe I can go out there and see what else I can get. But they didn't even give me an offer. It was like I just felt like, kind of I ain't gonna say, I feel like I guess you could say disrespected because like, I gave my all for the team. You think the team is gonna, do right by me, but I felt like they didn't do right by me, and so I ended up going out there, and I think Miami ended up giving me a offer, and Pat Riley was like, hey, we need, he told me to say stuff to the media, because I think he wanted me to, do some things uh, that would hopefully get Milwaukee not to match. The contract that they offered, but then and I was like, in order to get this deal, I'm gonna say and do what I got to do to try to get to Miami. I mean, when you think about it, no disrespect to Milwaukee, but I mean, I'm sure a lot of people would probably want to live in Miami compared to living in Milwaukee. It's the weather's a little bit better. The taxes are a little bit better in Florida.
Taxes.
Um, but at the time, I think, I think D Wade and Shaq were still kind of there. So you get a chance, maybe then they just won a championship and you kind of like get a chance to play with those guys or, go back to Milwaukee. And like I said, I love Milwaukee. I mean, I think, it's a very, underrated city.
Hmm.
And especially in the summertime, it's really nice, just the winters. But being from Michigan, the winters really didn't bother me that much. But, I'm sure anybody would, love to go the South Beach compared to Lake Michigan, and especially in the wintertime. And
Yeah.
but so yeah, I definitely wanted to go to Miami, but like I said, when Pat Riley and offered me the contract, I was trying to do it and say what I had to do to try to get to Miami, but Milwaukee matched it, and I had to go back there and try to make the best of that situation.
So, Mo, I don't know if Mo has this or not. Mo, do you have that picture of the brace?
Ah, yeah, I do have it. I do have it. Give me a second to pull it up real quick.
If you can find, because I want to show this to you, Charlie, because you talked about playing, injured, giving your all. Some people, weren't able to play due to injuries, and obviously through this business, availability, is the best thing that you can have. So if Mo pulls it up, I just want you, and you probably know what I'm talking about. This knee brace
Yeah, I
that you
know.
had in
Yeah, I know.
Milwaukee.
Yeah, definitely know what you're talking about. Yeah.
How are you able to play with that? Because it didn't look like a regular knee brace.
No, it was it wasn't the brace. It was the pad that kind of made it look worse than what it was. The
Okay.
brace wasn't bad. I had a brace on my knee, but the
That
brace was
right
like
there.
this. Yeah, there's a pad on there. The brace ain't that
Okay.
bad. It's like the brace is but the brace is, this hard, like plastic, almost metal like. And the thing about it is, I've bumped knees and, bumped that into people. And so I had to wear this plastic that I had to, or padding that I had to strap on it. So to protect other players from getting hit from it. But like I said, for me, I wanted to be out there. I wanted to play. And it was going to take, it's going to take a lot to keep me off the court, because if there's any type of way I can run and defend and shoot, I'm gonna go out there and play, and because I love to play basketball, and I said that it was just a pad, a lot of, I would play against guys, and I remember Kevin Garnett and other guys, man, they'd look at it and be like, man, what the heck you got on your knee, man? Like, what is that? And then like sometime I would kind of bumping into people trying to chase somebody off a screen, so I would hit him, and they got a little upset with that. But at the same time, like I said, I wanted to play, and I think that's
Yeah.
just the way I was. I wanted to play. I like any kind of way. If I got to put this brace on to play, I'm gonna do that. And because I love to play. And I think I know I think that's just the thing with guys nowadays is that I don't think some of these players love to play basketball. I think they
Right.
love what the game does for them as far as monetarily and the money that it brings, but they don't love to play basketball. And I think especially back then, it wasn't about the money for a lot of the guys my age, because we weren't getting paid the way that these guys are getting paid. And then, now it's a business where back then guys just love to play basketball. So
Yeah.
we were out there. We're gonna play. No matter what the money is, no matter you might have a little injury, but I think the game has kind of gotten very financial now, and it's like guys are just counting their money now and making sure they get to their next contract and making sure they get they think about the money. They don't think about I want to go out there and just play basketball. Even I get upset now seeing these guys don't want to play back to backs. It's a 40-minute game, man. You might play 30, 35, or 40, it was 48-minute game, but you might play 40. And to me, I mean, the travel is what kind of takes, you get hurt, kind of takes a toll on your body because of the travel, playing a game, jumping on a plane, going to the next city. That's what takes a kind of toll on your body. It's not really the basketball per se, but for me, basketball, especially once you get going, it's a game, man. I mean, a lot of guys go to the Lifetime Fitness, go to LA Fitness or Y and play pickup every day. And I'm sure you play for longer than 40 minutes, longer than 48 minutes. You out there for 2 hours hooping,
Right.
and that's the way we came up. And then when you love the game, that's how it is. And I think a lot of these guys just don't love the game like that now.
Yeah. I would agree. It's not exactly the same. Big Mo said he got a question for you, Charlie. So I'm gonna give him the floor. Go ahead, Charlie. Mo.
What's up, man? I had you kind of touched on it just now, but I did have a quick question. As a player who played in this league, the difference between eras, right? Because I don't know, I guess I kind of range the eras from like 8 to 12 years or whatever. And so I don't know, I just want to get your thoughts on it. How do you feel about the difference in eras? Kind of a two-part question too, because you hear these conversations all the time about people saying that the players from today couldn't keep up in yesterday's league. Go ahead and clear that up for me, man.
I mean, I think it works both ways. I think there might have been some guys from this era that probably couldn't play then. And there's some guys from back then that couldn't play now in this era. I mean, it's just the way it is. I think it's two totally different types of games. I think the game, back then it was a little more physical, and it was a little more slowed down. It was more a little grinded out. Where now but and now it's a little bit faster. But at the same time, I think the talent is better now. Back then, there might have been one or two guys, really talented guys on a team where the rest was just some really good players. Now you got 6 7 talented guys on the team, and it's I think that's why the game is so much faster now because of there's so much talent on the court. Back then it's like we're gonna load up on Jordan. And it's because Jordan is that guy. Where now it's like it's hard to load up on a guy because he got three or four teammates that can do the same thing that he can do. You know, you look at a team like Boston, you got Tatum, where you try to load up on him, and then Jalen Brown will go off on you. Where back then that probably didn't take effect as much. But like I said, I think it's two totally different eras where, like I said, there's a lot more talent, I think, in the game now. Where back then it was just a lot more, the game was a lot more physical. I think people love the game of basketball, like as far as players, we love to play the game and we took a lot more pride. And I think now that the pride is not out there as much, now it's just more about the money. And like I said, but it's a two totally different areas. I think it'd be kind of hard to, take a guy uh like James Harden or any of these guys now that and put them back in that area because the game was way more physical. James Harden might not get away with the drawing fouls the way that he draws fouls now. But because they you get away with that holding and grabbing back in the day. So some of those guys probably wouldn't have been as successful. Where some guys back in the day, you know, probably wouldn't do as well in this game because the game is so much faster.
So we talked about players that you had to go against and those those interactions. You talked about Kobe, and not as important, but it I think it is important is the interaction that you have with fans. So has there ever been just one interaction with a fan while you were playing, maybe somebody courtside that you remember just like whatever. It's just something that just stuck out to you, just say, you know what? This is some NBA stuff right here.
I mean, not no one moment. I mean, like like I said, I had a lot of especially when I played in Milwaukee. I used to always, you probably shouldn't have got on those like like those little blogs and stuff like that. But I used to always kind of read and see what people were saying, and then the next thing you know, ended up commenting on some of the stuff. It kind of like the way Kevin Durant does stuff nowadays. Sometimes you
Mhm.
just see him comment on social media back, and next thing fans love that though. Next thing you know, I was hanging out with some of the Milwaukee people, and doing different things for the fans, because I understand that they want to see their team win, and as long as you want to, as long as you're going out there and they know that you're giving it your all, they're going to stick by you, even if you do take a couple losses. As long as they know that you're giving your best. But I think playing the NBA, I mean, it's great. I mean, because a lot of times, you go to LA and you see, like all the celebrities courtside, and then Jack Nicholson, and then you go to New York and you see Spike Lee, talking trash. It's like, man, that's Spike Lee over there, and then Washington, you got Wale sitting courtside, and just you got all these different rappers and celebrities, and just sitting there and then them talking to you, and it's like like especially for me, like I said, I think I was a big Ray Allen fan, watching he got game, as a kid, and and him being one of my idols and being on the court with him, and he came in the locker room one time, and I'm just sitting there, just I had to catch myself. I was just staring at him like a like I
That's Jesus Shuttleworth.
like a man. Come on, man. Exactly. I was like, that's Jesus. So I'm just sitting there like this. I'm like, oh, what am I doing right now? Like I'm just sitting here staring at another grown man. I'm an NBA player too, but at the same time, those were like Ray Allen, like I said, UConn was one of the schools that I was thinking about going to, because of Ray Allen. I think the Big East at that time was probably one of my favorite conferences to watch. With him at UConn, you had Allen Iverson at Georgetown. And a lot of people don't know my favorite player was Kerry Kittles though at Villanova. That's why I used to wear the one high sock in high school because Kerry Kittles had the one high sock in college, and I thought I wanted to be like Kerry Kittles.
Gary
So,
Kittles was
but
real.
he was there. He was that guy. He was tough,
Yeah.
man. But just just playing against guys that I kind of grew up idolizing was just was great. And then just kind of realizing that I'm on the same court and I'm just as good as not just as good, but I'm able to be on the court with these guys is was definitely an experience that I would cherish. Think about for the rest of my life.
Oh, now I ain't gonna let you get off that easy. Just saying, yeah, there were guys. Steve Francis talked about how he hated going against you because I guess that cross country background, like he was just like, I'm in for a load that whole game because I'm gonna have to follow him around. So yeah, my man Charlie a threat too. So I want to finish up here with the business side of it as well because we know trades happen all the time. And so you experienced a trade being traded to Golden State. I guess what was that like, or what were your feelings or thoughts, saying, you know what, they traded me. Was it just business or was it anything,
I think I had
additional to it?
already got a taste of, I already got a taste of the business side as far as when I talked about being restricted free agent. So you knew it was a business. But like I said, I was there I think what 4 or 5 years at that time. And that was home for me.
Yeah,
Milwaukee was home, through all the ups and downs. You definitely don't want to get traded um because that's where my house is at. That's where my bed. That's where the family. That's where everything is at. And once you get traded, yeah, I had my original house in Michigan. Like my home. Like in the off seasons, but at the same time, I had a home in Milwaukee. And when you get traded, it's you gotta pack up. It's like you gotta call the moving trucks. You gotta it's definitely anybody who's dealt with moving, it's hard, and it's just,
yeah,
not switching teams. It's just, you know, putting your whole life into boxes, shipping it, and then taking it out of boxes and trying to unpack. I mean, that's tough. I mean, it's part of life, but even to this day, I hate moving. Even moving from apartment to apartment, a house to house. You kind of accumulate stuff, and it's like you don't
hmm
realize how much stuff you got until you move. And then that's when you start putting stuff in boxes, and you're like, man, hold up, man, I ain't. And you start throwing stuff away. It's like moving is hard, and being traded and having to pack up and move. And I think nowadays a lot of guys, they rent houses that's already furnished, so that way if that does
yeah,
happen, it's a little easier, to just pack your personal belongings and go. But when you're in a place for that long and you have a house, and it's definitely tough, especially having to pick up and box everything and move to a whole new city. It's definitely hard, but that's part of that's the business. You get paid millions of dollars, and nobody's gonna feel sorry for you. It's like, yeah, okay,
mm.
you can afford a mover, so get a mover, go to that next city, and be ready to play.
So when you get traded to Golden State, and then this is the last thing I'll ask you, and I appreciate you being on here. You get there, and there's this young gentleman that's there. I think he was a rookie at that time. A lot of people know him as Steph Curry. Did you see anything or like what you like? This is coming, or the league ain't gonna be ready for this?
I mean, I never, I played with a great shooter in Michael Redd in Milwaukee, but uh, but Mike, he was a little older at that time, but just seeing Steph at a young age, and the way he shot the ball and his approach to the game. I mean, he wasn't a guy that was showing up late. He was there early. He was there late, putting the work in, putting the time in. It was his second year in the league. He wasn't a rookie, but it was his second year. And
Okay.
I just saw his work ethic, and his work ethic was off the charts, and I played with Steve Nash and Dirk Nowitzki, played with some other great players, and just seeing them coming back to the gym at night, getting shots up, and working on their working on their game, working on their craft, and that's how Steph was. I never envision him being the player he is today. I mean, he definitely, but I can see the work ethic, and he's definitely, seeing him back then and seeing him now. He's definitely, his body has changed. He's gotten a lot stronger, gotten a lot bigger. He's able to take the contact. And one thing about Steph too is, he loves the game of basketball, and he's a big kid. You see some of the stuff he does out there on the court because he's a big kid, as far as the night celebration, the wiggles and the jiggles that he does. I mean, because he enjoys playing basketball. He's a big kid. We used to have a lot of fun, on the team buses and outside the court because I'm a big kid, and so like we just used to joke around about like just like silly, stupid stuff, like because that's just how we still got a good relationship now. When he sees me, he calls me flamethrower because in practice. I used to always, yell out flamethrower, like and blow my fingers and stuff like that. Like we just had a lot of fun. We was like big
Right.
kids out there. And if Steph see me today, he go, yeah, yell out flamethrower. It's hilarious, like because we just had a lot of fun outside the court, outside the games. But watching him become the best shooter ever is crazy. But and I tell a lot of kids is people want to do what Steph does, but it's very hard because I think Steph is like the most in shape athlete ever. I think LeBron has done it. He's a great. But as far as watching the Warriors play and watching Steph, a lot of guys don't move it like he moves without the ball. I mean, he's sprinting off of screens. He might sprint off about 3, 4 screens. That's why he's so hard to guard because you can never relax. But a lot of times if you're not in great shape, you're not going to be able to stay with him because he's constant movement, and you're going to get tired. And that's how he gets. That's how he's able to score a lot of points. That's why I scored a lot of points in high school. I ran cross country, so from that third and fourth quarter, I'm still going up and down where other guys probably be tired. That was me, and that's watching Steph do it at the NBA level, and watching him just the constant movement and moving without the ball. It's like, a lot of guys want to be Steph, but if they really sat there and watched Steph, they could never do what Steph does.
Yeah. Yeah. Nobody. That will never be repeated. So, Charlie, man, I appreciate you, sir, spending this time with us, educating me, answering my questions, and entertaining me. One last thing before we wrap this up. What's your bowling game looking like, sir?
I'm still.
Mhm.
I don't know if I can beat you, man, but I give you a run
Mm.
for your money. Bowling is one of the things where it's like you never know. Depend on the day, depend on the alley, depend on
Mhm.
the oil
Mhm.
on the alley, and it just depends. You know what I'm saying? I give you a run for your money, man. I mean, I'm
Okay.
sure you probably bowl a lot more than I do, but at the same time, if I get that straight ball going, and I get it right there in that little alley, right on the left side of the lead pin, if I
Yeah.
get it right up in there
That's it.
on a consistent basis, you might be in trouble, kid.
Hey, Mo, I'm gonna tell you, we used to have some epic battles, and when he would get that, like what he's talking about, I would be angry because it would just be one right after the other. Then Charlie started talking and all that stuff, and I guess maybe that's where that flamethrower come from, and and
Hey
all of
man,
that.
hey.
So yeah,
You
yeah,
gotta, you gotta, you gotta talk a little trash, man. You gotta have some
hey,
fun with it, man. That's what it gets me going and it gets other people going. So,
yeah.
yeah,
We're gonna have to get
definitely going, yeah.
we're gonna have to get Stacy out there. I want to beat her too.
Hey,
Beat
man,
her.
hey, you just let me know. You let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Again, sir, appreciate it as always, man. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Charlie Bell, NBA vet, Flint Hall of Famer, Big Ten champion, NCAA champion, all that good stuff. Parade All American. You heard me say that at the beginning. So uh, enjoy the rest of your day, your life, all that stuff. To all the subscribe, I mean, all the people that's out there, make sure subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications, follow your boy, and then we'll holler at you later. So two things as always: stay positive and push forward. And I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.